And I want to pose this question more to you and the Daddy Gang. But one of the biggest conversations in this year's election revolves around a woman's body.
Yep.
I want to take a moment and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision.
I know what you're going to ask.
About a man's body.
No.
Is there any law?
No. Look, we are a work in progress. But here's
Alexandra Cooper and all the Call Her Daddy girls. I'm going to show you facts, and I hope it reaches Alexandra Cooper. I've never watched an entire Call Her Daddy, but I've watched clips where you ask ladies about sexy time. How come you didn't ask Kamala Harris about her Montel Williams years? How inconvenient, Alexandra Cooper, right? For you, because you're such a Democrat. I already know that. And so do all the other ladies that are calling you out for doing this interview, while there's people in the Helene catastrophe have nothing. And this hoe, it was giving them $750. But we'll get to that later. How come you didn't ask her how her bop years were going when she was sharing a man? Yeah, Kamala Harris, what was it like starting your career the first time you were in public with a threesome going on? Why didn't you ask her that, Miss Cooper? It's Call Her Daddy, isn't it? And speaking of daddies, in the show Call Her Daddy, why didn't you ask Kamala Harris how it felt to be the mistress of a married man? Willie Brown. Yeah, how did that Hawk Tuah years go on, while he was married? There's even a viral video of Kamala Harris being so young, 29, and Willie Brown, married man, being 60. So they ask her, is that your dad? And she goes, no, that's not my dad. So she was so young, they thought that was her daddy. Now, Miss Alexandra Cooper, right? Such a Democrat of you. Why didn't you ask her, how did it feel being a Hawk Tuah girl for Willie Brown while he was married? Yeah, tell us about that age gap, 29 and 60. Yeah, what kind of positions were you aspiring to do? There, I phrased it to a point where I don't want to throw up. But yeah, Alexandra Cooper, I hope you see my video. Why didn't you ask her these girly things of breaking a black family because she's a mistress? The hoe Kamala Harris was. Where were these questions, girl? And Alexandra Cooper, do you not have any men in your life, a boyfriend, a brother, or just knowledge about the military draft and how Kamala Harris just lied to your face and everybody else that watched that interview? Because this right here, selective service system, is a law for 18 to 25-year-olds. Do you not have brothers? Do you not have cousins? Well, that is a huge regulation on men's body without their consent, mind you. Abortions, 95% of them are because women wanted to open their legs, and then they want to kill babies because Democrats allow them to do so. So this, I would say, is a lot worse because they don't have a choice. Men do not have a choice if we go to war with Kamala Harris or not, and they're drafted. They have to go. If not, they have penalties. Did you get all that, Miss Cooper, or you want me to say it again? And Alexandra, speaking of the military draft, did you know that it was Democrats that want to include women in the draft? Yeah, such a Democrat of you, Alexandra. You're like, I care about women. I'm going to invite Kamala Harris and her party that thinks it's appropriate to add women to be drafted at any point against our will, just like men in this country. And Alexandra, do you know that the only reason why women right now, as you and I see this video, are not in the military draft is thanks to the Republican men that have stood up for us? Many of them even signed the Don't Draft Our Daughters. So we are not in the military draft like the Democrats have wanted to include us, thanks to my party, thanks to Republicans that say this is not right. So why don't you ask Kamala Harris, why do Democrats every year want to include women in the draft as part of the inclusion, that it's only right? Why do the Democrats want to do that? Why do they keep insisting over and over again and writing bills that will include women in the draft? Why, Kamala Harris, is your party like that? You should ask that, Alexandra. Another great question you could have asked Kamala Harris, Kamala, is why the Democrats all voted against Title IX. Republicans were backing Riley Gaines when she went to go testify. Have you ever had Riley Gaines in your show? I wonder why. So why do the Democrats not want to protect women's sports and all of them voted against? Alexandra, this was all over the world. The fact that Democrats had zero support for the women's sports. Why didn't you ask Kamala that question? Since you guys are so pro-women over there, why didn't you ask her, why did the Democrats vote zero to protect women's sports? Why, if you care so much about women? Another question that you missed to ask Kamala is why she and Joe Biden traded the NBA player Brittany Griner for the Merchant of Death. Right? Why they do such a horrible deal? Does this seem like a fair deal to you, Miss Alexandra from Call Her Daddy? Because isn't Kamala all about regulating the Second Amendment and keeping guns safe and blah, blah, blah? Oh, she had no problem hugging it up with that dude, the WNBA dude, and then trading in the Merchant of Death. That would have been a great conversation, Alexandra, if you really cared about women in the United States and the truth, right? But anyway, I can go on and on and on of all the questions that you failed to ask that were important in your little Call Her Daddy show. And Alexandra, it's very disturbing that the woman that you say is such a great prosecutor doesn't even know the law of our country. When you asked if there is something that gives the power to make a decision about a man's body, and Kamala Harris said no, what kind of attorney was she? What kind of a law degree did she have that she doesn't know the military draft does exactly that? You should call her out. If you see my video and you get tagged and you still don't share the truth, I don't know what to tell you. Besides, you are not being an authentic and clear and effective host. And Alexandra Cooper, why rest of the women are upset are not just because of her priorities to go on your show instead of helping the Helene storm victims, but it very much seems like propaganda on your part. And as much as you try to say, I'm sorry, I was trying to be unbiased, I gave you a lot of things that you did not cover, and you let Kamala Harris lie to you and your viewers, and you have not even fact-checked her or try to correct the statements that were said that are misleading and blank false. So, if you have any brothers, cousins, dad, please look into the military draft, because that is one clear, very sad example of how the government at any point, especially with her weak leadership, if we go into a war and there's a draft, they have no say, none whatsoever, of the man's body. Bye.